Moving on to the second round. Now, this is where the tournament really gets interesting, in my opinion. We're going to start with you, Lauren. England is on a side where they got to face Colombia, but if they get past Colombia, then you're looking at Sweden or Switzerland, and then they may be able to go through and not face a real powerhouse until they get to Spain in the semifinal. They lost, but they kind of won, didn't they, in a sense?
That is definitely the way that I was looking at it. Absolutely. I'm watching today's game intently to see, okay, well, which way are they going to end up going? How are we going to come out of this? And looking ahead to see that next up, Colombia, I don't think that that's going to be an easy match by any means. I go back to what I said earlier, where I think that these past 3 games in the group stage, they really need to make some changes, get some motivation there, because I think it was quite lacking. And they're going to really have to bring it once they play Colombia for sure in order to get past them. So as much as I'm rooting for them, I feel that one will be quite a bit of a challenge. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that one. But I am optimistic about it for sure. And then next up would be potentially, Spain, right? Is that,
no, next up would be Sweden and Switzerland.
Sweden, Switzerland, yeah. That one, again, I don't know what's between Sweden and Switzerland. I think, again, it could be anybody's match. I mean, I look at the way Sweden beat Mexico 3-0, and they're such a physical team. I'm just not sure what could happen there. I think it could be a great matchup if it became Sweden-England for sure. That's what I would like to see. Yeah.
What else in the bracket kind of jumps out at you, and in a sense of matchups and games that should be really exciting?
Should be really exciting for sure. Well, I think there's a lot of them. I'm looking forward to Uruguay and Portugal for sure. I mean, I think you have a team like Uruguay who, well, I think it's going to be such a high pressure, aggressive match, that one for sure. Very, very tense. I think Uruguay has got such a strong team. Suarez versus Ronaldo. I think that's going to be a tremendous matchup. So that's the one that's next on my list that I would be probably the most excited to see how it could go for sure. Yeah.
Keith, what are your thoughts on the bracket here?
Yeah, well, I'm also pretty excited by that Uruguay-Portugal match. This won't be necessarily a popular opinion, but I think if Portugal can get through Uruguay, which is a big if, they have a chance to go all the way to the final. I think that's a possibility. The France-Argentina game is intriguing to me because obviously Argentina did not look very good getting through, but they did find a way. They do have one of the world's best players in Lionel Messi. France also has not looked overwhelming yet either. That's one of the more talented teams on paper, but they didn't look like they were dominating any of their games either. So I think Argentina's got a chance in that. I'm not saying they're going to win, but that's an intriguing matchup to me. And the Brazil-Mexico game as well. If Mexico can regain the form they showed against Germany, where they were using that speed and that counterattack that was just devastating, I think that could be a very interesting chess match as well. So those are the 3 on that side of the bracket I'm quite interested to see.
Yeah, Kassim?
I think for me, easily the game I'm excited for the most is France and Argentina. I mean, you have France's manager and Argentina's manager who have both been criticized and are under a lot of pressure, so they need to get a result from that. And you have a France generation where they're expected to win. The French media are very harsh on them. They put a lot of pressure on them. And Argentina's media puts a lot of pressure on Argentina as well. There's going to be pressure on the likes of Messi. There's going to be pressure on the likes of Griezmann, Pogba. And we're going to see here which manager can get it right and which players can produce the end product on the field. And on top of that, Argentina have been poor this World Cup, but I think we can all agree that France haven't been great either. So this is a 50-50 game that can go either way. There's no clear favorites. And you know what I find with these tournaments, it's important to gain momentum as you go along. And I think for both teams, this can be a real turning point. If Argentina win this game against France, the momentum they're going to get from this victory can push them all the way. And the same can go with France. For the likes of Pogba, Griezmann, Mbappe to overcome this obstacle against Argentina, this can open doors for them to keep going forward and to keep dominating teams, and this could be that bit of momentum and spark that they need to push themselves to the final. Apart from the France and Argentina game, Colombia and England really excites me because England have a habit of losing in the round of 16. I don't think they've won a round of 16 game since 2006 maybe against Ecuador.
Yeah.
And Colombia are a team that are really good on the counter. They have great pace. And England right now look a bit susceptible in the counterattack. So that game can go either way. And this England generation, they do need a win. And a win against Colombia can give them that confidence and that momentum that can push them to the semifinals. And once you're in the semifinals, I mean, chances are England are playing Spain or Croatia.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to watch England play in the semifinals against Spain or Croatia, that's going to be like outstanding, just to see how the English fans react to that.
Yeah, well, to me, it's what's intriguing is some of these storylines here. Because if Portugal gets past Uruguay and Argentina gets past France, now you got the Messi Ronaldo head-to-head matchup, and I think everybody wants to see that. You see it all the time in the Spanish league, but to see it on a world stage with their respective countries, I think it would be huge. To me, I think Belgium has been the most impressive team in the tournament so far, and if they get through and Brazil gets through, then you got Belgium, Brazil, which could be a final, but that's going to be an exciting game. So there are a lot of good games on that side of the bracket. The other side of the bracket is interesting in regards that there's teams out there that they look at the bracket and go, hey, we could go far. Because as far as England is saying, we could go all the way to the final. I'm sure the Swedes and the Swiss and the Colombia, they're all saying the same thing too. We can get to that semifinal. So I think it's interesting in that regard when it comes down to the matchups. And Keith, I want to ask you this: is when you get to the second knockout stage, how much plays a part in how they did in the group stage? Does the group stage even matter anymore, or can a team turn it on? And for example, Argentina or somebody like that. It's
a funny thing. I think we've seen examples of teams that have really limped through the group stage, managed to find a way through. Argentina, to an example, the last World Cup, and they made it all the way to the final and lost that game only by a goal. So it's just a matter of getting on a hot streak, getting some momentum, and potentially finding yourself with some favorable matchups, and you can find yourself in a semifinal or a final.